Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of In the Vine Connects with your host, Mel. Here with me today, I have
Denise.
Shekinah.
Yessie.
and we just want to give you a huge round of applause. You survived the holidays with your family, and look at you. You winner. I know we went dark last week, but we hope you guys enjoyed the time with your family as we did as well. Make sure you drop some comments if you had a crazy, outrageous time because we love to hear the tea. And if you had a great time also because we love to share in the blessing. So with that being said, instead of asking you ladies how you are, I am just really curious. What are you thankful about? What was the thing that you shared around the table with your family? I know you said us and one another and in the vine, but besides that, in addition to that, what is something that you guys are thankful for? I'll start with Shekinah.
Ooh, thanks. No, actually, at the risk of sounding very cliche, I guess, strangely enough this year, I've been very, very grateful for the difficulties that I've faced. And just the Lord has really been changing my perspective and my heart towards so many different things. And just looking at them as, like, how deep that I've gone this year with my relationship with the Lord is probably deeper than I ever have before, in a new way, too. And it wouldn't have been possible without me going through a certain number of difficulties and hardships that got me there. So I'm actually really, really grateful for just the difficulties that I faced, because it really made me focus on the Lord, press into the things of the Lord on a deeper level. And it's as strange as that might seem, I'm truly in that place where if I have to go through it all over again to get to another level of the Lord, it's so worth it. It really is so worth it. And so just being in that place of gratitude, of just thank you for turning around at what was in the moment a struggle and brought me a lot of anger and confusion, is now being turned around for just so much joy in the Lord and so much breakthrough. So that's what I'm grateful for, and I'm just happy to be in a place where I can share that.
I love that. Good job, Shakay. You get to pick who's next.
Yay!
Popcorn.
I know. I love that.
Then I choose you, Melissa.
Yeah.
You knew it was going to happen.
I didn't.
No.
Okay, what am I thankful for? You know, this year has been such a incredible year in the good and in the bad. So I think I'm just grateful for, what am I grateful for? The voice of the Lord. I think if it wasn't for the voice of the Lord, and I don't just mean that directly from the Lord, but also through friends, through shared impartation, through vulnerability and all that good stuff, then I don't know what Melissa would be at right now. So I'm just grateful for the voice of God that always comes if you're willing to plug in. So there's that. Next, I'm going to go with Yessie.
Okay. I'm thankful for the stretching. Your mom actually prophesied, P-Lynn at GWCC. She prophesied over my husband and I, and she said, this is a year of being stretched, right? And she said, but this is like a stretch that you've never felt before. And it's completely accurate. Sometimes when my husband and I are going through things and we're like, this is insane. Like, if it's not one thing, it's another thing. When we think that we're coming out of the drowning water, out of one situation, there's another situation that happens, and we remind ourselves, this is what she was talking about, the stretch, you know? So we're embracing that. And we've, faced loss, and now we're facing life, and we've faced ups and downs in different situations in our lives just this year, but we're learning to be grateful in every situation. And then there's a lot of rewiring, and also not only my husband's brain, but my brain too, because we're seeing that us being positive, even in the lowest parts of our life at the moment, we notice that our daughter doesn't care. She doesn't. Like, she's just going on about life, and she makes us realize, okay, let's just rewire ourselves, rewire our thinking. Words are so powerful, right? And we always thank God for every single moment, even the bad, even the stretching, because we know that she's going to learn from it. Even when she grows up, she's going to hear, we went through these struggles, we were going through this and that, and she's not even going to know a thing. She's going to be like, well, I just remember my childhood was amazing, and that's what we want, So we are definitely embracing the stretch. Another thing I'm thankful for is this past Thanksgiving. I just want to throw Porto's out there. Shout out. I had to say this. They have a new pumpkin. They had like a pumpkin cheesecake, and the crust is Oreos.
Huh? You had us at Oreos.
Where at?
Yeah, so we had it first for a birthday party.
Portos.
In Portos, yeah. And so then we ordered it for Thanksgiving because hands down, it's really good. My husband doesn't eat sweets, but he was like, give me a cake. Like, I'll eat the whole cake.
Wow.
Like, it's really good. So just in
That's
case.
an interesting
if it's
combo.
still there, I mean, we're still close to Thanksgiving time. So if it's still there, just try it out.
Nice.
Thank me later. And now I choose Denise.
Yay. I think I would agree with you, ladies. What I'm really thankful for is how my journey the journey that God's taken me through this year, again through the ups and downs, like you guys have mentioned. But what really sticks out to me is that God really in this journey showed Himself to me in pictures. And the big thing that comes to my mind is the doves, right? We're on our 7th dove. I don't know if I've shared that with you guys. This is the 7th dove that's came and built its nest or rebuilt the nest. And then there's 2 baby doves there now that are getting ready to leave because it's time for them to leave the nest. And so I've seen this cycle out since February and until now. And so to see this beautiful transition before my eyes has been a very symbolic and has mimicked my journey in between death and life and protecting and zeal and passion. So the things that the Lord has spoken to me about, He's also shown me tangibly. So I'm extremely thankful for that facet of God during this season. Because I'm a picture person, right? So I love storytelling. I love reading. So the fact that He was able to bring that to life for me in such a way that only He could, I'm extremely thankful for that.
That's amazing. I love it. I love it because I've literally gotten to see these things play out in your ladies' lives, and I'm just so excited.
And I know with like doves, like they're like homing pigeons, right? Like they have their community. They're a very family oriented bird, which is not too many birds are family oriented like that, and they only stay in a place that they feel safe in. So it's really cool. Yeah. So they like if they have any way feel a threat, they'll move to a different like community, if you will. So the fact that they're staying, and like obviously the number 7 is the number of completion. So I'm sure you brought that up for that reason. But it's just really cool because like doves are really fascinating birds, and I think how God uses them too in Scripture and just all the way around. It's just a blessing to hear that.
Yeah.
And to also know that they're building their family unit in your backyard just means that they feel safe.
It's so beautiful.
that's really cool.
I never knew that. I mean, I've studied them out, but I didn't know that particular aspect of it. But it just brings me confirmation because something that the Lord told me was you keep praying for everything that the enemy stole, you'll reap forth like a 7-fold blessing. Or I've been praying 7-fold blessing. I don't know why, but it's just that the fact that you said that is very profound. So thank you.
That's really good. I love it.
That's
Get
awesome.
you.
Is it the same dove?
No, they're different.
Oh, so they're spreading the word.
They're
Yeah.
And it's
Oh,
crazy
that'll
because
preach.
when they know, so when one leaves, there's one there's some that come by the tree or on top of my roof that are waiting for the baby dove to leave before the mom comes and rebuilds it. They scout it. So it's been crazy to watch. Like they literally scout the area to see if it's safe.
Wow.
And when they notice that the baby doves finally leave, they know it's safe. So then they'll start rebuilding their nest, and the same cycle repeats itself.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's cool that because I feel like there's other birds or there's other predatory animals that would go and try to take the land by force, try to thing. But it's cool,
Yeah.
Not Mother Nature, but nature. The Lord really reveals Himself in it.
Definitely.
Okay. So this episode we're gonna talk about tackling the holidays, but you guys know now we have to get first into the dating question.
Oof.
And so this question is, can't say why, but it was definitely inspired. So my question for you guys is, should a non-drinker date a drinker? Can it be possible? Well, I know it can be possible. I guess the word should is best fitting. So I will start with Yessie.
I would say no, at least for not for me. And the reason I say that is because in my family, they when they found out we were Christian, they tried really hard to keep giving us alcohol, right?
Why do people do that? That's crazy.
I think they were testing. They test. Because there's been some people who previously have said they're Christian in our sphere, but they've given in, And so they noticed that my husband doesn't give in at all. And I love that because they no longer ask and they no longer care, and they respect, and we respect too. But I do love that he doesn't do it because it doesn't put pressure on me. I don't have to deal with any of the consequences of drinking, of when someone's under the influence, substance abuse, none of that. And I'm thankful for that because it just keeps that away, keeps my family clean. My children don't have to deal with that because we're breaking that from our lineages. And it's something that we don't struggle with. And we could be around alcohol and not have to be like, oh my gosh, I can't even see it. Like, and I can't imagine how hard it would be if I literally couldn't be around alcohol and the person that I'm with is constantly talking about it, going to events with it, living the life with alcohol, and, you know, maybe going a little bit more. I just couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
I just couldn't imagine being pure in that area.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, I like that.
I think there's two ways to think of it. What that comes to mind right away is if the question is structured, can someone who just casually drinks be with someone who doesn't choose to drink, or if a former or struggling alcoholic is with somebody who casually drinks, if that makes sense. So I think that's where my mind kind of went right away. And so I know you guys know my personal experience. My answer would be no, not for me. I've made a commitment and a vow not to drink. And it's just way easier, and it just makes far more sense. And I made it for spiritual reasons, so it makes sense that I would marry someone who also has that same conviction, you know. But have I seen people who drink alcohol and their spouse doesn't? Yeah, I have. But it's in like the person who does drink is very mildly, you know, like the occasional maybe like champagne at a party type of thing. So I've seen that, and I've seen it work just fine. Can, however, someone who drinks heavily be with someone who doesn't drink at all? I would say absolutely not. You know, so I think there's a lot of variables and factors, but ultimately my answer for me, like yes, you said, for me personally, absolutely not. No alcohol, not even casual drink, not the occasional glass of wine. Not that I think there's anything wrong with it or there's any sin in it. It's just not something that my spirit would be able to align with, if that makes sense. Partner with, I think is the right word. But have I seen it? I have seen it. I actually know a lot of couples. I know a lot of Christian couples where one will have the occasional glass of wine and one just decided not to drink at all, mainly for health reasons, not necessarily even spiritual reasons. But if the question is, can a heavy drinker be with a non-drinker? I would say absolutely not. You know, like if you have to have that, you know, beer before bed, if you have to have any kind of alcohol just to feel comfortable in your own home, whatever, like, and then you're married to someone who doesn't drink at all, like that's a huge shift and a huge dynamic. So I would say no. If you don't drink, it's more than likely best that you just date someone who doesn't drink as well.
Yeah, that's good. I like that you brought in different components too. That's good.
Yeah, I think I 1,000% agree with both ladies. That's my mind went to where Shekinah's was. There's so many different variables and factors. I wholeheartedly agree. You know, I've seen it. I've seen both. I've seen where, you know, somebody who decides not to drink ends up dating somebody who does drink. And then I always talk about relationships. At one point, one's going to influence the other, right? And so I'm hesitant to say, yes, it's okay, because we live in a society where there's so many broken people, where women want to fix a man. They think of him as a project, and it's like, no, sweetie, like that's what I'm not saying he won't change, because I've been in a relationship where the change did happen, right? But that's not everybody's story. That's not everybody's truth. So it's hard, because I don't want to eliminate what God has done or testimonies of what I've seen, but in the same token, I'm cautious, because I know that our women's typical mindset is like, oh, well, she said, then he's a project. Like, I can work on him. No, you can't. Like, only God can. Right. Only God can change and transform a man or a person, period, you know? So, you know, it's better to be safe than sorry. So then don't put yourself in that situation.
No, I agree with that. Just follow your convictions. At the end of the day, my conviction is not to drink. So it makes sense for me to marry someone whose conviction is not to drink. However, if you don't drink because it's a health issue, but you don't think there's any kind of sin or conviction against it, if you end up drinking because your spouse is drinking, well, you're not going to end up with a conviction. You might end up with a stomach ache, but you're not going to end up with a spiritual conviction. You know what I mean? Like, so it just really, at the end of the day, I think it's about your conviction. Why, like, determine why is it you don't drink. And if it's a spiritual conviction, do not marry someone who does. But if it's just a health issue or just a dietary restriction that you put on your life, then I think you can be a little lenient of, dating people who don't drink.
Yeah, and I think what's hard about it with life is like you just never know what's going to happen down the road, right? Because you can date somebody that's on the straight and narrow, and all of a sudden they switch up, they go through some trauma. Like I remember listening to a podcast, and one of the ladies was like, my husband was great, but then he lost his father in a traumatic way, and he started drinking and started spiraling.
Yeah.
So it's like it's really tough because you can date somebody and start off well, but things can switch up later down the line. So I think with me, honestly, my answer is straight up no. And that's because of what I come from, what I've seen. And I think if you allow a toe in the water, then you're liable. Like, it's really easy for you to fall into the water, right? Because it starts off small, It's like a chip. You can't just have one. But at the same time, it can be said with many other things that are not necessarily that type of vice. It can be gambling. It can be just playing golf, It can be a lot of things. So I think at the end of the day, it's like you want to look at somebody's pattern and see what kind of person they are. Even with women, like women, we can be like, oh, I think it's really easy and we can get away with things like being vain as far as like, oh, let me go get makeup, blah, blah, blah. But that can be a deep-seated issue where there's something going on in the soul, right? So that's a little bit more acceptable in society. But why am I saying that, and why does it feel like I'm going like in a really broad way? It's because at the end of the day, what you need to look at is the heart of the matter, which we always say. It's like, why do they do what they do? And if you bring up for example, if you bring up drinking, you're like, hey, like, what do you drink? And they get really defensive about it. That's a red flag, and you might want to investigate that. If they say, hey, you know what, like, I'm willing to let this go. I know relationships where the man was like, okay, I'm willing to let this go. It's not that big of a deal. I just did it because it was a thing to do. But so I think it's looking at the heart of the matter and allowing the person to also see, but lay it out on the table and be like, hey, you know what, I don't want my family to step into that. I don't want my kids to see that, because to me that's really heartbreaking. I have it's just crazy to me. Like, I have a cousin whose ex, her brother got like just jacked up in a car accident. He was drunk and he ended up turning over his car. He's pretty much like a vegetable now. And yet, they have birthday parties and all these things, and they still invite the number one guest that ruined their brother's life, and that's alcohol. So to me, it's like, if you're so lamenting this thing, you're still inviting the thing that got him in that place. Yeah. So it doesn't make sense, And so it's just crazy. There's a lot of things that really go into play about it, but for me, hard no. Yeah. Sorry for the tapping. I was nervous. Okay, so good answers. Hopefully we didn't get too deep for the intro, but now we're just going to dive into our topic. So there's a few things, or a lot of things, that go in with the holidays, right? Of course, it's a season of peace, joy, love, the Grinch. But we understand that there are very real things that once January comes, you're like, what in the world just happened, right? So we're going to discuss 3 different things when it comes to the holidays. The first one is gift giving. And the next one is a topic of loneliness. And the third one is a topic of shaking hands with your, not enemies, family. I'm just kidding.
Could be 2 in 1.
Right?
All in the same.
Just kidding. Just being with family and handling that. So first, we're going to talk about gift giving. So for me, sometimes this brings a lot of stress. There's times like Paul, right? Like Paul, it's like, I've learned to be content with a little. I've been learned to be content a lot. And sometimes you roll in, sometimes you tight, Yeah. So we just want to talk about that and hopefully be able to give you guys some pointers on how to handle the gift giving. So ladies, with that, right, is really the topic is really like budgeting. So what is your advice to people when it comes to giving gifts? Let's say if you just have like low money. What is your advice? I'll start with Denise.
No, start with Jessie. Nope. No.
I was just going to say,
first of all, know your audience. Jessie is great.
I was going to say, if you're going to start with Denise, talk about what kind of gift she wants.
Yes.
Or what she would like to give.
Jessie, you know me. Jessie's great at finding great, phenomenal things on sale. Like those shoes that Soraya had. I'm like, those are hot fire. She's like, I got them for really cheap. Yeah. So please ask Jessie that question, because I cannot in no way, shape, or form provide.
So you need this advice.
I'm going to listen to you, Jessie.
I'm going to be very, so for Christmas time, right? I definitely love to get good gifts. I want to make sure I go to the stores and I look ahead of time. My stepmom does it January, and she has the whole upstairs full for everybody. And she's like, it's like we call it Santa's workshop up there, because she has everybody's gifts already before even Thanksgiving.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's
that's
insane.
dedication. Like,
Yeah,
nope,
yeah.
that
And she
stresses me
does
out.
it because she buys things like on sale throughout the year.
I
but
can
she
do that.
thinks
I'd want
ahead
to
of
give
time.
it right away.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I have this gift.
And that's
Let me give it to you.
That's me. I'm like, it's when it's your birthday. I'm like, do you want it now or do you want it on your birthday? You know. So for me, I try to go like around Thanksgiving time to the stores to see what's on sale, or like if I come across something good, I'm like, okay, I know this person would really like it. But sometimes it's hard to give everyone a gift.
Yeah.
Like you have a huge family, like you love people, you have friends, your friends have kids that you love. So sometimes it's like, you know what, I'm gonna give you as a family a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I'll give baked goods and a nice card.
So thoughtful.
Yeah,
So
or
thoughtful.
even like having them over and hosting something and then giving them a little gift, just depending on what their love language is and what they like, right?
Yeah.
But for those people that really do love gifts, especially kids, I would say get them what they would really like, something that's outside of the box. Especially because it's Christmas time. That's the time they look forward to for toys and, you know, not clothes. They don't like clothes. So that's one thing. But I would definitely say for your friends and everything, if you can get them beauty stuff, like ladies. Like if you have friends, we just love beauty stuff. Anything.
Love it. Yessie always gives me some good beauty things.
Yeah. And then for guys, I mean, they like food, guns, ammos. Depends on the guys, you know. So I mean, it could be pretty easy. But I will say, if you are on a budget, and this person is also on a budget,
Talk to me.
you want to know what me and my sister do? We text each other, and she texts me and she goes, "Hey sister, I'm on a budget this year, so I'm not getting you anything. So please don't get me anything." And then she's like, "My presence is enough," and she's like, "Your presence is enough, okay?" We still surprise ourselves with something super small,
Yeah.
but we communicate that, and we're like, "Girl, I'm struggling. You're like, I know you're struggling. Like, let's just even it out. Like, let's not add stress to each other."
Aw.
I would say communicate with those friends.
Oh.
You know, just a hug, a prayer, something thoughtful that would speak to them with a gift, in a sense. Like if they love coffee, go take them out for a coffee date. Like I think that's more meaningful than just, hey, here's a gift card.
Yeah.
You know, something like that. But it's really hard. I think about it all the time. Like, what do you get the person that has everything?
Yeah.
Like something sentimental. That's honestly what I would say.
I honestly rely heavily on Holy Spirit when it comes to like giving gifts, because
And you're good at that.
Thank you, but because I know you guys, and I think my friends know, and I don't try to hide it, but it's really hard for me to be giving. Like I'm the youngest of 4 children. I was the only one at home. I'm spoiled, okay? So I was spoiled. The Lord is helping me. So now I have to be really thoughtful about what I give people. And so I pray and I ask the Lord, like, what do I give? Like just recently he had me give my coworker a Bible. And what's funny is that he used the story that you shared with Andre. And so the Lord reminded me that, and then I was just thinking about that story, and then all of a sudden the Lord is like, give your coworker a Bible. And so it's cool because like I'm like, oh, that's going to be a generational thing. Like I know that I'm giving her the gift now, but I know it's not for now. I know that it's going to be for later. And then so it's cool. And the Holy Spirit, like when I know that it's the Lord telling me to do something, like I don't mind if I'm stretched in the giving, you know? So there's that too.
That's amazing, though. That's really good advice to know. Like, if it's from the Lord, it's okay to be stretched.
Yeah, which is hard,
It's so hard.
at least for me.
Like, I can't relate.
Yeah, I can't really.
I can't wait for her part.
I know. I think Denise can wait for her part. Stay tuned for part 2. Just kidding. Shekinah.
Yeah, no, the budget thing definitely applies to me and has applied for me for many years. No, no, in our family, it's actually really easy. Christmas is really easy because honestly, we don't have a whole lot of kids. It's just my 2 nieces and my 1 nephew, and we spoil them like crazy. The rest of us, we just give like little trinkets and like, you know, like little things, and just to say like I'm thinking about you. But all of us, me and my siblings, we always pitch in every year and get my parents one big thing. And so it's really easy. It's kind of just been that's how we've always done it.
Yeah.
And then with everyone else, you all know I love you,
Yeah.
but you're all getting cookies. Like,
I love cookies.
but not like that's something I've gotten in the habit of is just baking, or also when I do mug painting every year.
Oh,
So
I
I
love
also
that.
take the leftovers, or I just am intentional of trying to like buying extra to make sure that I can give them as gifts, because people like love the mug painting, and like
Yeah.
we're super excited about it, and they can customize their own thing. Mug painting is gonna be.
I don't know.
I know the date.
She knows the date, guys.
Pause.
Dun, 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 dun.
Sue was
That's
telling
going to
me
be
that.
amazing to advertise.
It's in December, right?
Yeah, it's December. It's going to
'Cause
be
we are in
December
December.
21st. Mug painting at GWCC is going to be December 21st. It's going to be a part of Greater Work
Oh,
Christian
I can't
Church's
wait.
Christmas event. One night only. Please be there. There's free cookies, free cocoa. Oh, it's going to be so good. You don't have to sign
I
up.
love
Just
it.
show up, guys.
Yes.
Amen,
And mug
amen.
painting's only a part of it. So if you don't want to paint mugs, you don't have to. You can just enjoy the festivities.
You bring your first date. That's a perfect place for a first date.
Yes. We will
Yeah,
have the
or second
information
date.
on inthevine.org.
Or third date. Whichever date
Or
just
married.
come. Hey, you know what? Our pastor, literally, one day I was at our coffee shop that we used to own, and I turned around and my pastor is literally doing a wedding in that moment. And because they just wanted to get married right then and there, and they got married and they took off, and it was just like, all right, well, who's next?
Yeah, they just walked in and like, can you sign these papers? And just they
Yeah.
did their vows right then and there.
So
Yeah.
cute.
I wasn't there for it, but I'm glad you were there.
Yeah,
Wow.
I picture it to this day.
So what you're saying is the mug painting can turn into a wedding.
Yes,
Yeah.
the mug painting turned to a wedding. No, but honestly, it's really simple with my family. It's because our family's pretty we're pretty tight knit, and we all recognize my whole family's on a budget. And then we have we all like live out of state, so my sister will fly in, and we know she's spending money just to fly in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't really have high expectations for each other. We're a quality time, spend time watching Christmas movies and eating kind of family, So that's how we spend our holidays. We're not really gift people. So it's it makes it pretty easy, and it takes the stress off. I remember, like trying to I was blessed financially one year, and I went through and I made sure to like customize every gift for every person. And as much of a blessing as that was, it was so stressful too, because this one's really good for this person, but this isn't as good as this one, and they're gonna compare the two, and it was just, I don't know how you gift givers do it. I had to be so intentional, and I had to shop way earlier in the year to do that.
I'm
and
stressed for you.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So
It's a lot.
I'm just glad that now we just kind of focus on our small little family. We just
Yeah.
spend Christmas Eve and day together, and we eat a ton of food, and we watch the kids play with all the toys that we spoiled them with.
That's awesome. All right, ladies. I know that the conversation is going really well, but it looks like we're about to hit the 30-minute mark. So how about we split this into 2 episodes? You guys cool with that?
Sounds
Yes.
good.
All right. So stay tuned for the next episode where we're going to talk about dealing with family, dealing with gift giving and budgeting, stress, all the good things. Promise you won't regret it. So stay tuned for the next week episode, part 2. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you liked this episode, or we answered any of your questions, or you have a question you would like discussed in future episodes, let us know in the comments or share on social media at inthevine.connects. And be sure to hit subscribe so you won't miss out on the amazing content and guests we have lined up for you. To find out about our upcoming events and more, please visit our website at www.inthevine.org.